The battle has been long and hard fought.
I don't want another story like Xiaojun's in this world, or another family to experience this tragedy like our family.
And it's taken 2 years of fighting through the courts to be able to get some justice, some solace for his family. 2 children, his wife and his ageing father back in China.
Now, 2 years after she was forced to farewell her dying husband via video call from China, the widow of hungry panda worker Zhao Shun Chen has been delivered justice against the odds.
Typically, gig workers are considered independent contractors rather than workers, which means that they do not get paid annual leave, sick leave, leave loading. They also don't get basic workers' compensation entitlements.
In what's believed to be a first, the New South Wales Personal Injury Commission has ruled that Xiao Jun was an employee, not a contractor, when he was hit and killed by a bus in Sydney, awarding more than $830,000 compensation.
It's a really great decision, and I think it's a step in the right direction in terms of the gig industry and what it means for those individuals working in the industry.
We certainly hope that this case has sent a shot across the bow to all gig companies.
Xiao Jun was one of 5 delivery couriers who died on the job during a 3-month span in 2020. It's hoped this decision could open the door for other compensation claims.
I don't believe that it will be a blanket rule. We still have to look at individual circumstances of each case. It does pave a path for hopefully future contractors to be identified as workers, and then that has a massive flow-on effect for their workers' rights, essentially.
The new federal government is also promising to improve workers' conditions.
We'll regulate the gig economy, we'll set minimum standards.
Change that can't come soon enough for vulnerable workers and their families.
This is urgent. It's urgent because it's literally a matter of life or death. We have to make sure that our system supports workers no matter what legal label is applied to them. They deserve to have fair pay, to have a fair safety net of terms and conditions, and to be able to return home safely to their families at the end of the day.
I think this is the issue here, because anyone who's rationally minded, reasonably minded would be like, regulations and changes to this in order to help protect workers is a good thing. However, with that, you then have to accept that you will be paying more, which is something that consumers and customers for these type of services, usually that may not be an option sometimes, and it's something that they probably might pause and be like, oh, do I want to pay that much for that?
I just feel like it's a bit rich for the companies to say that they're like independent contractors, that they have nothing to do with them as soon as something goes wrong, when if everything's going right, I think they often say that the arrangements are very flexible, so it's like we're just 2 different kind of like business.
Well, that's contractors, right?
Yeah, like we kind of have a negotiation relationship, but in reality, there's not much of a negotiation relationship. Like there's one kind of big company, and that they don't have much negotiating power.
Yeah, but that's why you start. There's been a few cases like this now where they've found them to be employers, and you're right, Georgie. It radically changes the business model, because the business model for a lot of these companies is, by them not being employees, it's cheap for them.
Yep.
So they take their profit that way, and they can take their profit from the people who cook the food, the restaurants and so on, who would make a lot more money if you went in there and actually ordered there.
Totally, yeah.
So they take their cut from that. And so the money goes to the people who aren't doing those bits of work, and we as the consumer support that only because we want to overlook this stuff. Like, we don't actually want to pay for the safety element.
Can you see that changing though, with more awareness here of consumers? I guess, I mean, in potential other situations maybe, but I don't know.
I don't know what you guys think. I'm sceptical, because I think we've reached a point just in our lives and in our culture where we will sell just about anything for convenience.
Yeah.
Like, we've done it with privacy. We do it with this sort of stuff. I don't know. I'm not sure that these things are controversial in any way.
No, and I think that if the last two years has taught us anything with the pandemic, I think here in Australia, it's very much, I want to look after me. Like we saw with the States, we saw people just know, I'm going to look after me and what's best for me and my family. And if that is, as you were saying, Georgie, finding the cheapest stuff, finding the most convenient stuff.
Especially right now. Especially
right now, with everything that we know is going on with our wages and inflation, I think I don't see it changing.
Yeah.
Well, the law might catch up.
Yeah.
That's the other thing, or government regulation, as we've discussed.